Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be making Thanksgiving cards using two different designs of washi tape from the Washi Tape Shop. These are both really cute designs, and one of them has been super popular and has already sold out. And that's the first one I'm showing you. It's called Gobble Galore. And since this is a seasonal design, the Washi Tape Shop won't be restocking it. I purchased it several weeks ago, but I still wanted to use it for some fun Thanksgiving cards, even though it has sold out. They carry lots of other fun fall designs, so be sure to check out the Washi Tape Shop. And if you are shopping there, use my code KristieM10 to save 10% off your order. The other roll I have is called Autumn Homestead, and currently this one is still available. You can get it in the washi tape or the PET tape style. And for any products that are still available, I will have links in the description box below. I have 5 different card designs to share with you, and I made multiples of each card design. I'm really trying to get my Thanksgiving cards made for next year. I already have cards finished for this year, and the cards will be going to residents at a nearby retirement home. For 2 of the card designs, I am using a card sketch for inspiration. For this first card, the sketch is from Cards TV. It's number 53. The pattern paper I'm using for this first card is from Reminisce. It's their Let's Get Cozy collection. I purchased several of the 12 by 12 individual sheets with this lovely fall leaf design on one side and a green and white polka dot on the other side. For the wider strip, I'm showing the leaf paper, and then the narrow strip on the right side, I'm using the green and white polka dot paper. I'm adding both of these on some gold pearlescent cardstock from my stash. And that gold piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. I put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For a little bit of separation and shine between the 2 pattern papers, I added a Love from Lizzie peel off. This is the brown mirror color in pinstripe style, and I used the medium width. I did leave a little gap with the peel-offs, but I'll be covering that up with the stitch circle die cut. I'll put glue on the back, adhere that down, and the stitch circle die set I used is from Love from Lizzie. This is where I'll be adding one of the washi tape images, and this image is from the Autumn Homestead set, which is currently available. I love the washi tape sets that are pre-cut, no fussy cutting required. For a sentiment, I'm using a set from Jaded Blossom. This is called Sunflowers for Sale. I stamped out Happy Thanksgiving using dark brown ink, and I stamped it on some craft cardstock. I'll layer the sentiment on some dark brown cardstock. I will be popping up the sentiment using some foam dimension. I grabbed the 1/4 inch foam from scrapbook.com in the 1 millimeter thickness. I'll add a strip at the bottom and also behind the sentiment on the right side, but behind the left side, I'm adding a scrap piece of cardstock. And that area will sit on the very bottom of the circle die cut. I'll remove the release paper, put glue behind that cardstock area, and adhere the sentiment. For embellishments, I'm using some gold gems from Spellbinders. This is their gold mix. There's a light gold and then a dark gold. I'm using the dark gold color. They do have adhesive on the back, but I like to add a small drop of glue just to make sure they stay in place. It's never fun to find a card with the bling missing. I'll put 2 gems in the upper right-hand corner, 1 underneath the sentiment on the right side, and I'm also adding 2 more in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I ended up making 8 using this design. I used an assortment of the washi tape images from the Autumn Homestead set. I believe I purchased 4 or 5 of the 12 by 12 pattern paper sheet since I knew I was short on Thanksgiving cards. And the colors on the pattern paper match beautifully with the autumn homestead images. Now moving on to card design number 2. This will be a very simple card design. I want to use some of the wide images that are included on the autumn homestead washi tape roll. The background of my card features some banana paper, has this really fun speckle and textured look, and I cut it out using a stitched rectangle die from Love from Lizzie. I'll add one of the images at the bottom of this panel, leaving about 1/4 of an inch above the very bottom edge. And below the image, I'm adding some Love from Lizzie peel-offs, using more of the brown mirror color in the pinstripe style. I'll start by adding the widest width, and I'm using the little faux stitched lines on the 2 edges to get that peel-off nice and straight. Underneath it, I'll add one of the narrowest widths, and I do cut the peel-offs a little bit wider than the panel. Then I'll wrap the ends around the back. I'll put ATG tape on the back and layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock. And since the die cut piece does have that faux stitch detail, I'll also add a little bit of Barely Art glue around the outside edge, and that'll help it lay nice and flat. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. All of the cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut out Happy Thanksgiving, and this stamp and die set is from Jaded Blossom. It's their Give Thanks set. I love having the outline dies to cut out the sentiment. I used dark brown ink for the sentiment, stamped it on some light tan cardstock, and using the outline die, I cut out another piece, this time from dark brown cardstock. I'll adhere the 2 pieces together, offsetting them slightly so you can see just a peek of that dark brown on the left and underneath the sentiment. I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment in the upper left-hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'm using some metallic gold jewels from Pretty Pink Posh. These do not have adhesive on the back. I'll pour out a small amount in a wooden bowl. Makes it a little easier to select the sizes. And this set does include 4 different sizes. I'm using 3 of the sizes, just not the largest. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 on the right side of the sentiment. I'll first add a small drop of Barely Art glue, and I'm picking up the jewels using the wax tip end of Scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool. So there is my finished card, and I did make 8 using this design. There are 3 different wide images on the Autumn Homestead set, and I used all 3 for the 8 cards. I love this image. I think it looks so pretty on the banana paper. And the banana paper is from my stash. I don't have a link where you can purchase it. Now moving on to card design number 3. The pattern paper I'm using for this card is from Creative Expressions. It's the Distress Plaid collection. And unfortunately, this is a retired paper pad. I'm trying so hard to use up some of the older paper collections I have in my craft room. I selected one of the orange plaid designs, although this side doesn't really have much of a plaid look. Has more of a distressed, sort of cracked look on the background. For the narrow strip that goes across the card, I'm using some dark brown cardstock. And this is the same color I'll be layering the pattern paper piece on. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'm adding a Love from Lizzie peel-off. This time I have the gold color in the pinstripe style. I'm using the medium width, and I am leaving a gap on the left side since I'll be covering that area up with an image. I'll wrap the ends around the back, and I realize that upper right piece needs to be a little bit longer. I cut it too short. But don't worry, I will still save that piece and use it later. Peel-offs are very precious, so I always save those small scrap pieces. I'll put ATG tape on the back, layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock, and that brown cardstock piece is 5 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. If you prefer your background cardstock piece to have a wider border, you could cut that piece to A2 size. I love the look of the narrow white border of the white card base, but if my main background is a lighter color like the banana paper from the previous card, then I like to have the border a little bit wider and I won't have any of the white cardstock showing. For the image oval, for the smaller one, I use more of the banana paper and then the same dark brown cardstock for the larger oval. And the stitch oval dies are from Love from Lizzie. After gluing the two ovals together, I'll put more glue on the back and adhere the oval on the left side. You can see how I'm covering up most of the gap areas that don't have the peel-offs. I know you can still see one on the right side, but that will be covered up with the sentiment. This Sweet Girl Pilgrim holding a pumpkin is from the Gobble Galore design. That's the one that's already sold out. For a sentiment, I'm adding Happy Thanksgiving, and I use Gina K Designs All at Once Autumn Cheer stamp set and cut it out using the All at Once Greetings die set. I recently purchased this stamp and die set, and I love how quick and easy it is to stamp and cut out a bunch of sentiments. The stamp set has 9 different sentiments. And when you place the die on top, you run it through your machine just once and you get all 9 sentiments cut out. I'm using the Happy Thanksgiving sentiment. The very left side of the sentiment will sit on part of the oval. So before adhering it down, I put a scrap piece of cardstock on the rest of the sentiment, just not in the area where it sits on the oval. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it on the card. You can see now I covered up that area that didn't have any of the peel-offs. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs, this time the mini circle style in gold. I'll put 3 above the sentiment on the right side and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 8 using this design. 4 of the cards I used the orange plaid paper, and the other 4 cards I used the brown plaid paper, and I also added some of the lovely sunflower images and the sentiment Happy Harvest. The sunflower images are also from the Gobble Galore washi tape. For my last 2 card designs, the pattern paper is from Die Cuts with a View, their pumpkin spice collection. I believe this is from either 2018 or 2019. I've been hanging on to this paper pad for way too long, so now I can say I've used up some of it on some lovely Thanksgiving cards. For the background of my card, I am using a die from Newton's Nook Designs. It's their A2 card layout number 2 die. It cuts out this fun frame and 4 different rectangle pieces with the faux stitch detail. I selected 4 pattern papers and I use a dark brown cardstock for the frame. For the very background of my card, I use some cream pearlescent cardstock, and the only thing you'll see from this cardstock piece is that outside border edge. I'll put glue on the back of the brown frame, adhere it on the card, and then one by one I'll add the individual rectangle pieces. I love dies like this, perfect for finishing off some pattern paper scraps, or you can use some full sheets like I did and make multiples of the same card design. You'll just alternate where you'll put each of the pattern paper rectangles. And for this die, I believe you can switch out the 2 longer rectangles and the 2 smaller. So you don't have to keep track of which opening each piece was cut from. I have just one more rectangle to add, this green and white plaid piece. So once I have the 4 individual pieces inlaid in the frame, I'll put ATG tape on the back of the background piece and add it on my card front. I love the mix of the 4 pattern papers, but you could also use the same pattern paper or colored cardstock for those individual rectangle pieces. I get so much use out of dies like this. I'll be adding 2 stitch circle die cuts, and the circle dies are from Love from Lizzie. The smaller one features the banana paper, and the larger circle I use more of the dark brown cardstock. I'll glue the 2 circles together. If you're looking for some new nested shape die sets, Love from Lizzie has a fun variety, and all of the sets include tons of different sizes. Inside the circle, I'm adding this fun Thanksgiving wreath. There's pumpkins, sunflowers, wheat, corn, lots of fall foliage. For a sentiment, I added Happy Thanksgiving, and this is a separate sticker that was inside the wreath on the washi tape roll. For this card, I will pop up the circle, grab more of the black 1mm foam from scrapbook.com. I'll cut small pieces to put around the outside edge of the circle and then put a few pieces in the center. Remove the release paper and I'll add the circle with the washi tape image and sentiment on the left side of the card. I love the bright and cheerful colors on this Thanksgiving wreath. For embellishments, I'll use more of the metallic gold jewels from Pretty Pink Posh. I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. And this is the set that doesn't have adhesive, so I'll first add that small drop of Barely Art glue, and I'm picking them up using the wax tip end of scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool. When I poured some of the jewels in the wooden bowl, about half of them are upside down, so I do need to flip them over before picking them up and placing them on the card. In the upper right-hand corner, I added 3 jewels in 3 different sizes. In the lower left-hand corner, I added 2 jewels, the 2 smallest sizes. So there is my finished card, and I made 8 using this design. So you can see on the background, the pattern paper pieces are just in different areas. The cards all feature the same Thanksgiving wreath and Happy Thanksgiving sentiment. Now moving on to card design number 5. I'm using the same die cut with a view pattern paper. I selected 3 of the pattern paper designs and cut them into narrow strips, and they're all different widths. The yellow tone on tone is 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. The dark brown wood grain is 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and the yellow tone on tone striped piece is 3/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch. I'll add all 3 strips on some banana paper, and the banana paper piece is 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches. After adding the 3 pattern paper strips, I'll put a Love from Lizzie peel off on the top and bottom of the 3 strips. So along the edge of the wood grain and also the edge of the yellow striped pattern paper. I'm using the gold peel-offs in the pinstripe style, the narrowest width. And the main center of this card will be covered up with the image and sentiment, so I only need some tiny peel-off pieces. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock, and that piece is A2 size. And I'm making sure to get some ATG tape over those folded ends of the peel-offs. Since the main background on this card is the lighter paper, I'm leaving a wider dark brown cardstock border. Now I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. The pattern paper I use for the 3 strips on the background isn't direction specific, so it doesn't matter which way I put it. I decided to have the dark brown wood grain at the top. I've already stamped the sentiment Happy Thanksgiving. I used Jaded Blossoms Sunflowers for Sale stamp set. This white cardstock piece is 4 inches by 2 3/4 of an inch. For a little extra detail around the sentiment, I'm adding some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the same gold color. This time I'm using the widest width. And I only need a tiny piece, so I'm able to grab some of the leftover scraps. Put one on the right side of the sentiment and the other on the left side. Wrap those ends around the back, and I'll layer this piece on the same dark brown cardstock. And that layer is 4 1/4 of an inch by 3 inches. Make sure to get this sentiment and image panel nice and centered on the cardstock layer. And I will be popping this up using foam. Since most of the cards are going to the residents at a nearby retirement home, I'm not mailing them, so I can add as much dimension as I want. The 1mm foam from scrapbook.com is my favorite, so that's usually what I have nearby. I'll add 1 strip around the outside edge and then a few in the center. I'll remove the release paper and add this piece on the center of my card. Now I am covering up most of those pattern paper strips. You could always just use some small scrap pieces on the right and left side. Just make sure to get them lined up together so it looks like it's one piece. Underneath the sentiment, I'm adding a washi tape image with lots of fall Thanksgiving food. There are a few pies, pumpkins, apples, corn, and then some fall foliage, flowers, acorns, and wheat. I'll add the image at the bottom of this panel. The image is a little bit wider than this cardstock piece. I forgot while I was recording to add that before layering it on the brown cardstock, since it's easier to simply wrap the end around the back. But since I forgot, I'll use a knife and trim off those 2 edges. I think I need to change the blade on my knife, but I got most of it cut off so it has a cleaner look. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the gold color in the mini heart style. I'm using the medium and the smallest heart and putting them above the Thanksgiving word sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 8 using this design. I love the vibrant colors from the washi tape image. And even though some of the products I used in this video are retired or sold out, hopefully you'll find some inspiration to make your own set of Thanksgiving cards. Now here's another look at the 40 Happy Thanksgiving cards I made. I used 2 different rolls of washi tape from the Washi Tape Shop, an assortment of stamps and pattern paper from my stash. As I'm recording this voiceover, the Autumn Homestead washi tape is still available, but as I mentioned earlier, it's seasonal. So once it's sold out, it's gone. For products that are still available, I will have links in the description box below. And if you are shopping at the Washi Tape Shop, make sure to use my code KristieM10 to save 10%. They always have a fun variety of different designs, and they do have a bunch of new Christmas designs that are out now. I've already filled out this year's Thanksgiving cards for the local retirement home residents, so the cards I made in this video will be set aside for 2026. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.